can you please give me 3 minutes? 3 minutes. Let me just get a grade 9 learner who was confused about what subjects to take. I'm sure if I can just, give them this 3 minutes talk, they will actually be interested in science. So you are a valuable commodity, and I'm going to use that word very loosely for us, because we need a lot more of you who can communicate science. But before I actually get very long and get this thing boring, this show boring, let me step down and wish you all well, and may the best of the best win. And I hope that when you go abroad, you're also going to make us proud. No pressure, but I hope you're going to make us proud. And once again, the time that you spent, the lessons that you've learned, may you take them forward. And for the rest of the audience who've come and shared to share the evening with us, thank you for taking your time. Hope you're also going to have fun. Thank you.
All right, one final round of applause for Dr. Masia. Thank you very much, Doctor, for sharing those insights with us. Certainly, one of you is going to be the winner here tonight. What I forgot to say earlier on is that there will be an audience vote. So you watching us at home and you sitting here in the auditorium get to vote for who you think should be the winner tonight. And a bit later on as well, we are going to open up the floor so you can ask questions to the participants that are here this evening. So you can ask questions to them. As also you watching at home can drop us a comment and you can share us a question as well that you'd like to ask our participants here this evening.
Before we get to it, let's meet the judges, the experts who have the tough job of deciding who the best of the best of the best tonight will be. Let's start off with Dr. Mbulelo Desmond. He is the Executive Director at the National Research Foundation. He champions postgraduate student support through NRF's skills development and funding. His dedication to nurturing the next generation of researchers ensures the growth of young scientific talent. Dr. Desmond, quick question for you. I'm curious. Yes, they too answer questions before they ask them. What are you most excited about tonight?
I'm hoping I'm going to be wowed. I'm hoping I'm going to be wowed. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
All right, we can put our hands together for Dr. Ngango. All right, and up next, we've got Dr. Niraj Mistry, who is a Deputy Director at the University of Pretoria's transdisciplinary platform, Future Africa. He is a medical doctor and an economist with over 25 years of global experience in nonprofits, business, academia, and UN organizations. He has worked on issues including HIV, TB, malaria, and mental health and policy, advocacy, and science communications. Most recently, he was professor at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., and relocated to South Africa at the end of 2020. So welcome back, maybe, or welcome to the country. Let's give him a round of applause. Dr. Mistry. And I'm going to pose this question to you, Dr. Mistry, putting you on the spot. What makes a science communicator stand out to you?
So I think the most important thing is people be well versed with their topic. And when they understand their topic well, they can communicate it well.
All right. When you know it well, you can communicate it well. Dr. Mistry, everybody.
Our final judge is Ina Skosana. She's the news editor at Health EU Services. She was previously the health and medicine editor at The Conversation Africa. Ina has won several national awards for her reporting and has contributed to the South African National Editors Forum Guide for reporting on pandemics. Ina, quick one for you. What, in your view, do you think is the biggest challenge that science communicators have in getting their science out there in the mainstream media?
Ooh. Give me the easy question, right? I think that it's the perception of what science is. Science has a really bad rep. It's got a bad PR. So if people like you show up, it immediately changes it because we're thinking of science like Sheldon Cooper. And so it's really a PR problem.
Another round of applause for Ina, ladies and gentlemen. Also, I happen to have a little crush on Sheldon.
Well, there you have it. Those are our judges for this evening. Judges are looking for 3 criteria here tonight. Content, being the science, it must be there and it must be represented accurately. That's so important. Clarity, being how well do you take us through your ideas? How well do you move us from the beginning of your talk right through to the end? And then lastly, I like to call it that charisma, that je ne sais quoi that you have. Were you able to excite us? Were you able to leave us? Yes, you can say that. That's what we need. As the last C, we're looking out for that charisma. Are you able to bring the passion that you have for your work to shine on the stage tonight? All right, without any further waste of your time, are you ready to meet our first participant for the evening? All right, she sounded very excited earlier on when I asked her, how is she feeling about kicking things off from for the evening? All the way from Stellenbosch University, we have Tula Rose Glasby, whose love for South Africa's natural wonders began when she would walk through Fynbos nature reserves and enjoy tranquil tidal pools. This early fascination grew into a deep passion for the natural world during her BSc and her honors in biodiversity and ecology. Now a master's student in the botany at Stellenbosch University, Tula is researching biological soil crusts in South Africa's drylands, and her goal is to contribute to the essential knowledge and conservation of unique and remarkable biodiversity. Let's put a very big round of applause. Tula!
I just want to check if it's on. Okay. Okay, let me know where I can start. Okay. Barren wastelands devoid of life, inescapable sand and dust storms, and droughts decimating plants and animals. These are just some of the potential consequences of soil erosion and climate changes facing our planet. These issues seem massive, insurmountable, and unstoppable. But fear not. In vast expanses of drylands across the globe lies tiny, unassuming guardians ready to face these challenges. These are the biological soil crusts, also known as biocrusts. From the sweeping sands of the Kalahari to the frozen expanses of Antarctica, biocrusts cover nearly a third of dryland soils and 12% of the Earth's land surface. But what exactly is a biocrust? Biocrusts are soil surface communities made up of a variety of tiny organisms. They bind soil grains together with sticky secretions to form a soil matrix, which is eventually weaved in with a rich diversity of organisms. If we crack off a piece of crust and zoom in, we might see something like this. Bound together, these crust communities form the ultimate jack of all trades, masters of soil, donning tiny aprons and tool belts, ready to tackle any soil-related task. In arid soils where water is scarce and nutrients are sparse, biocrusts act as tiny master chefs, cooking up sustenance for their ecosystems. They produce nutrients essential for life, enriching the soil and making it hospitable for other organisms. Their intricate network of filaments and structures acts like a sponge, absorbing and retaining moisture in the soil and creating tiny oases for other soil organisms. They're also skilled engineers, designing their solid structures which hold together the topsoil and act as a suit of armor against erosion. They've even used these skills to cover large parts of the Great Wall of China and protect it from further decay. In South Africa, where the battle against soil erosion and water scarcity rages on, these biocrusts may hold a key to conservation. Despite being abundant within our drylands, the role of these biocrusts in our ecosystems remain largely unexplored. This is where my research comes in. By cracking the secrets of the crust, I aim to uncover their role in our magnificent South African ecosystems and work towards their conservation. In a time where huge global problems seem unsolvable, these tiny, humble supercrusts remind us that together, even the tiniest of organisms can have monumental impacts and even change the world. Thank you.
Come, do your walk of fame, Tula. Judges, now over to you. We are going to take 2 questions from only 2 of you.
Tula, thank you so much. And not always the easiest to start off, and you certainly set the bar, so thank you. I want to ask you, why would this area of research be of interest to public audiences?
So I think one thing is that there's this whole entire, I call it like the rainforest of the soil that we don't even know about. I love them so much because once you look under a microscope at these biocrusts, it's like Disneyland, like the diversity and literally even just how they look, the colors, it's like a beautiful, wonderful, like little rainforest on the soil. And they're doing so many amazing things for us, contributing to soil nutrients and soil moisture and preventing dust and preventing soil erosion. And we just don't know, we just step on them, you know? So I think it's like one of those wonders of nature where people will never believe these amazing things that are right beneath our feet, you know? I think it's just such a mind-blowing thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Your enthusiasm is infectious. Why did you decide to study this?
So I first got obsessed with moss during my honors, and I just thought it was so cool. And I would just look at moss under the microscope, and I worked on wetlands, so it was a totally different thing. So then I wanted to do my masters, you know, my masters in moss. But then I discovered that moss grows on these things called biocrusts, and I was like, what's a biocrust? And then I just went down the spiral of falling in love with biocrusts, and there's such a gap in the knowledge in South Africa. Yeah, there's around like a handful of studies on biocrusts in South Africa, and I think they're really important for a lot of the issues that we're facing. So I'm excited to build the knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much, Talula. Another round of applause for Talula. And now, all the way from Stellenbosch to Jozi, my Jozi, the city of gold. From the University of Johannesburg, the Center for Astroparticle Physics, please help me welcome Luyanda Mazwi. Luyanda Mazwi's research has the potential to reveal fundamental truths about how the universe works by studying the tiny ghost particles we call neutrinos. This exciting area of physics could change our understanding of the cosmos and challenge current scientific ideas. Passionate about inspiring future scientists, Mazwi is dedicated to making STEM fields accessible, especially to disadvantaged students. It's a bit longish. He believes that broadening the appeal of science and encouraging perseverance can lead to significant breakthroughs and transformative change. Please, one warm round of applause for Mazwi.
Is it on? Okay. Is it? Yeah. Okay. 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 I have a bit of a cold, so. Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3. This is fine. Not yet? Yes? No, not yet. Okay. I'm gonna keep sound 1, 2. Hello? Do I sound normal? Is it fine? All right, let's begin this thing. Right now, there's something that's been giving us physicists a bit of a headache for more than 100 years, the neutrino. So what is a neutrino? Well, this tiny, 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 tiny particle is a particle that's produced in the processes that power our sun, nuclear power stations, and even what just happened after the Big Bang. Now, how is it a headache? Remember how I said they're really small? who can see the dots on my palm that I just placed there? Yeah, that's basically what it's like trying to see these things. Amazingly, we figured out how to do that. In fact, the first neutrino observed in nature was found right here in South Africa, in Boksburg of all places, in 1965. Well, that's great, but neutrinos are pretty weird. They come in 3 types, and electron neutrinos, as physicists like to call them. But when a neutrino is traveling, say, for example, muon neutrino, it can almost magically transform or oscillate into an electron neutrino. Now, this is a bit of a problem because our physics can't exactly explain this, or we don't know which of our explanations is correct. The standard model of particle physics predicts that neutrinos shouldn't have mass. And yet, from what we see from neutrino oscillation, we see that they in fact do. The irony is we don't even know what this mass is. This is really, really bad because the standard model is the best theory we have to describe particles. It works for everything else except the neutrino. To make matters worse, the neutrino is one of the most common particles in the entire universe. In fact, right now, there are billions of them going right through you and me. And this is important because they affect really important things. Because when they hit stuff, they can change how heavy elements are formed in stars to the formation of galaxies like our own. This is quite a headache. So what exactly am I trying to do? Well, I'm interested in this neutrino flavor oscillation. And the idea is to break down the process during which a neutrino changes from one type into another into a series of simple steps. And then ask the question, how difficult is it to perform each of these steps? We can then calculate the total difficulty of this process to then figure out which flavor a particular neutrino is most likely to turn into. We call this measure of difficulty quantum complexity. It's in fact an idea we've stolen from computer science. Now, don't get too excited and start saying things like we're living in a simulation. It just happens that we can apply quantum complexity to certain types of physical systems, like, for example, checking what's inside something called a black hole. And now we're going to try it on neutrinos. So what do I think I'm going to find? I have no idea. Maybe a clue to like how to better describe this neutrino oscillation, maybe a clue to some new physics or a way to find its mass. But maybe I'm the panado we need for this headache from 100 years ago. Thank you very much.
All right, one more time for Luyanda Mazwi. Luyanda, I was certain you were talking about cereal, you know, a neutrino. I had a neutrino for breakfast. Judges, any of you keen on having a neutrino for breakfast? Over to you.
Luyanda, wonderful presentation, and thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Just a quick one. Why did you choose this topic? I mean, it sounded a little bit difficult to me, but you made it to be so nice and understandable.
Yeah, because it's cool. Basically, I mean, can you think of something that like, you know, like how a chameleon changes color, but this is not just a color. This is a physical thing, you know, transforming. It's like if I throw a tennis ball at you and it transforms into a rugby ball, that's weird. So because it's cool. But then the second thing is because of how important it is. And now, like, I know we always make jokes about like Sheldon and stuff like that. But like for me, that's always like, I don't know, I thought he was cool, you know? And same like these sci-fi movies, the quantum realm, like I want to try and make this happen. So that's basically why I chose this.
Thanks, Luyanda. You're clearly passionate about this. But if you mention astrophysics to anyone, they automatically assume it's going over their head. So how important is science communications to your career moving forward?
I know I think it's vital. So this is a pure science, and oftentimes pure sciences don't have a direct application to industry. And then that's why people think they're not important, but that's not true. You have pure sciences first before industry. So a nice example is like, you see this computer that we use, they always talk about this thing called a transistor, which is sort of like a microscopic sort of switch inside your device. But some guy had to first play around with the energy levels of semiconductors to sort of see what's going on. So that's kind of why we really need some people to start thinking that I want to do this pure science thing. Yeah.
All right, let's put our hands together one more time. Luyanda Mazwi. The guy without a prop, but he is the prop himself. Well done there, Luyanda. We're going to move on to our lucky number 3, and that is Nonkululeko Malomane from the University of South Africa. Nonkuleko's making waves in the water safety, a chemist from White River, Mpumalanga. She's diving deep into solutions for clean drinking water while pursuing a master's in chemistry at UNISA. Inspired by her own experiences with water issues, Nonkululeko has several journal publications. Her mission? To transform water safety and collaborate with communities, ensuring that everyone has access to clean and safe drinking water. Let's put our hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Is it on?
Did you know that 3.5 million people die each year as a result of contaminated water? Meanwhile, 2 billion others are still forced to drink from potentially harmful sources. Of the many affected is Nandi, a young woman in a rural area in Mpumalanga. She walks kilometers to collect water from a borehole, unaware that it might be contaminated with germs, or that contamination might occur from points of collection to storage. Nandi then continues to store this water in a bucket for a period of 2 weeks. But to her shock, when she finally empties this bucket, she notices a slimy layer on the surface inside. And that is what we call biofilms. So during storage, the germs multiply and attach on the surface inside, forming this slimy, slippery protective shield around themselves. You can think of it like a tiny safe house for germs. But now the issue is that traditional disinfectants such as chlorination cannot effectively pass through this layer to rid the target germs. And in fact, scientists have discovered that these disinfectants make the germs stronger such that they don't die from them over time. This means that Nandi's life is in danger. And to save her, we need to come up with innovative solutions that will prevent this from happening in the first place. And that is where my research comes in. We are designing a nanoparticle coated bucket. Nanoparticles are very special materials that are smaller than the tip of a needle. And we make them from waste orange pills. And then we combine them with waste polystyrene that you get from used plastic cups. Isn't it amazing how we turn waste polystyrene, something that people consider as an environmental health issue, into something really useful? So we use this as a coating for lining the inner surface of the bucket to prevent the germs from attaching and forming their biofilms. But they will not even see it coming, because if Nandi keeps this bucket in her house, it will not cause any harm to them. But the minute she takes it and exposes it to sunlight, it will produce these very tiny but harmful substances that attack and kill them immediately. Nandi can now store her water safely for a period of 2 weeks, a month, or even a year. And she can reuse the same bucket for disinfection again and again. We owe it to her and the 2 billion others to support research like mine that prioritizes clean water accessibility for all. Now, allow me to invite you, ladies and gentlemen, to join me in this journey to create a world where waterborne diseases are a thing of the past, with 0 lives lost as a result of contaminated water. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Nonku. Walk with me, Nonkus. Judges,
Is this audible? This is such an important topic and obviously very, very timely. Do you think that you would be able to convince the powers that be to adopt the solution?
I can experiment with them. Yes, because people believe what they see. You know, I've done the research in the lab, but people need to see that indeed the germs are not attaching when I'm using this bucket of mine.
Thank you, Nonkululeko. Such an radiant presentation of your work. For me, out of interest is, what is it that made you say, I want to do this?
Thank you so much. I love that introduction. So this study to me is so personal because I'm from a rural area myself, back in Mpumalanga. So when I was growing up, we used to collect water from a borehole and we'll see visible contaminants there, but would still drink the water. So I owe it to my community and to myself also. Thank you.
For Nokuphiwa. You see, ladies and gentlemen, this is what science communication is about. It is science for the people, to the people, by the people. Next, we are moving all the way to the Northwest University where we are meeting Nadia Olivia. Nadia Olivia is tackling depression head on with her research. As a PhD candidate at the Northwest University, she's looking into the mechanisms of a novel antidepressant drug in a rat model, aiming to uncover new treatments that could transform mental health care. Nadia's journey began with a fascination for brain function during her undergraduate pharmacy studies and has grown into a passion for neurosciences. Outside of her research, she's a voracious reader, often finishing an entire book in one day. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the avid reader, Nadia Olivia.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this mic, but I'm going to do my absolute best. Can you hear me? Back. Okay, good. The brain is often said to be the most important organ in the body. Of course, that's according to the brain itself. However, the brain is also believed to be the starting point of the silent epidemic, depression. How? The brain is made up of billions of cells called neurons. Each neuron sends and receives chemical signals from multiple different pathways, kind of like a complex traffic system. In a healthy brain, these lights are in sync, causing smooth flowing traffic. But when these lights become dysregulated, the lights start flashing out of sync, leading to a mental traffic jam. Now, this is depression. 4.5 million people in South Africa are currently diagnosed with this debilitating disease. And unfortunately, 33% don't respond to antidepressants on the market. Why? Because most treatments only target one pathway. And from this complexity I've just shown you, it's clear that diversity is key. We need to look at the bigger picture, beyond a single pathway, and even beyond the brain. What if I told you depression can start in the stomach? Hands up. Who here gets a little depressed or hungry when they haven't eaten? No. When you're hungry, your brain produces, your stomach produces the hunger hormone called ghrelin, which travels to your brain, telling you to eat. After you eat, ghrelin levels drop again and the hangriness fades away. Now, I don't think it's a coincidence that women tend to have more ghrelin than men. But here's the fascinating part. Ghrelin does more than just regulate hunger. It also influences other brain pathways, including those of mood, memory, and cognition, just like a traffic light. So this makes ghrelin a promising diverse target for new antidepressants, right? That's exactly what we're exploring in my research. We are testing a novel drug with this structure that boosts ghrelin's levels by preventing its breakdown. Our early results in a rat model shows that this drug improves chemical signals across multiple pathways, and these changes are linked to antidepressant behavior. While promising, this is only the beginning. By looking beyond the brain, we're gaining new insights that could one day lead to more diverse and effective treatments. Because as the song says, life is a highway, and when all the lights are in sync, we can get rid of these mental traffic jams, causing the road to mental health to be open and accessible. Thank you. Dankie. En wie represent over here.
All right, thank you. Yes, judges, over to you.
Thank you, Nadia. All talks about gut-brain axis excite me, so I appreciate that. But we live in a world where everyone's looking for a silver bullet or magic pill cure. How do you see something like this working with the lifestyle that people need to follow?
Yes. That's a very interesting question. Because it influences ghrelin, the hunger hormone, it's obviously going to influence your hunger. So this drug specifically has been patented recently, which I'm part of, an international collaboration. And we saw in the rats, they ate more, but they didn't gain any weight. So Ozempic, move out of the way. But it also improved antidepressant behavior, improved cognitive behavior, and improved reward behavior. And I think just by showing the people what's actually going on in the brain and what's changing in the brain, they can reduce that stigma of mental health and just see it's just something that's not ticking at the moment, something that should be changed. And I think this could really be something that goes long into the future, changing the way we look at this disease and its treatments.
Thank you very much. So what's the next step for this research?
These were the results of my master's study. So I'm currently busy with my PhD where we're expanding this. We want to look at other diseases as well because it has such a broad mechanism. We want to look at anxiety, treatment-resistant depression specifically. That's another subtype of depression. So we're going deep into what its mechanism is, what it does. Then obviously we want to go into phase 2 studies, clinical studies, all the way, but that takes a long time. So we're taking baby steps, but this is only the idea that I want to share, to think of it beyond the brain. Just look at it in another way. Thank you.
All right, so one last time for Nadia, everybody. Jeez, you can tell the amount of time and prep that went into that prop. Well done, Nadia. Judges, you didn't get to see it, hey? It really just goes like crazy with the lights. And that stomach drops when the brain drops. There you go. There you go. All right. So also take the time to show our judges your beautiful, beautiful props. All right, people, we're going to move along to Havila Nadodzi, all the way from Makanda Rhodes University. Havila investigates how plastic pollution in rivers helps harmful bacteria thrive and spread antibiotic resistance. And her research, conducted as an MSc student at Rhodes University Institute of Water Research, uncovers significant health risks linked to plastic waste for both people and animals. She aims to communicate these findings to the public to promote action against plastic pollution. Havila advises young learners to stay curious and keep asking questions. And in addition to her research, she enjoys learning languages and currently is studying German and American Sign Language. Okay, so Havila, say FameLab South Africa in sign language. Let's go.
You should have told me earlier to.
Hey, let's get it together for Havila.
If you saw an advert for a beachfront property and it promises a great friendly neighborhood, free food supply to all the residents, and even the chance to acquire superpowers, would you like to live there? Well, that estate does exist. In fact, you've probably walked or driven past it before. Where is it? It's in the heaps of plastic waste floating right now in South Africa's rivers. You see, all of that plastic creates a perfect home, not for you and me, but for bacteria. And even worse, it becomes a factory for superbugs. How did this happen? You see, it takes only about 2 days from when plastic enters into water to become a breeding ground for bacteria. They quickly attach themselves to the surface of the plastic and multiply, forming this slimy layer called a biofilm. And shout out to Nkululeko for displaying what that looks like. You see, we found that the bacteria forming on plastic biofilms are able to quickly develop the superpower of antibiotic resistance. That means the drugs we have become less effective in killing them. But what is it about life on plastic that makes them develop this superpower really quickly? Some scientists believe it's the chemicals in plastic that make them develop antibiotic resistance. But at the same time, these bacteria are able to create extra copies of their resistance genes and start distributing it to their neighbors on the plastic biofilm, increasing the number of superbugs in the environment. Now, this is a problem because these superbugs can enter into our communities, can cause infections, and make our antibiotics ineffective in treating them. Now, there are knowledge gaps around when and how can these bacteria find their way into our communities? And what are the risks from exposure to these bacteria? Now, my research answers the question about the specific types of bacteria that thrive on the plastic biofilm and the specific types of resistance genes that they carry. And that'll help us know which drugs are becoming more and more ineffective. Now, you see, this issue of plastic pollution and antibiotic resistance shows us just how far-reaching the effects of our actions are. But if we have a world full of ordinary people like you and me doing extraordinary things, then we can make a difference. And so I invite you to support the fight against plastic pollution, to advocate for better waste management, and to support the use of reusable products. If we do this, we can fight plastic pollution and stop the resistance in the environment before it enters our communities. So as I leave the stage, I leave you with the question to think about. What can you do to protect our environment and public health? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was Havila. Another round of applause. Judges, over to you.
Havila, are you ready now to answer the question on the sign language, or do you want to call a friend? Oh, thank you for that presentation. I'm just curious, how will you convince the big companies to stop using plastic that is harming our environment, and literally having them buy into the study that you are doing?
So the first step is knowledge. The thing with humans is the less we know, the less we care. So the first step is creating enough understanding of what plastic pollution in the environment is doing. And there's a lot of great research that's going on right now on how it affects endocrine function, and now how it affects antibiotic resistance, and so on and so forth. So the more we know, the more we can get people to care. And that's why we're doing this. It took a lot of years for people to realize that fluorocarbons were damaging the environment and were releasing greenhouse gases and all of that, before people started to buy into reducing those, the production of those types of chemicals. So that's what we are also trying to do. The more we know, then we can motivate for these actions to stop the production of so much plastic.
Havila, you are a wonderful storyteller. And I like the rallying call to action from the general public with a lot of substance behind what you were saying, the science. Would you ever consider a career in politics, a science communicating politician?
I wouldn't mind it, you know. I'm an introvert by nature, but the one thing that I'm good at doing is talking about my work. That's the only time you'll see me talk. So yeah, you know, hit me up.
And politicians do a lot of that, talking. Give it up one more time for Havila. Now, our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is going to raise the level of my grilling. We're going all the way to the city of Oaks. You got it. You got it. We're going all the way to the city of Oaks, Stellenbosch University, where I'm now going to introduce Eduard Zert. South Africans love chicken, including myself. And so it's a staple to many households. That's why Eduard is exploring ways to analyze chicken with advanced imaging at Stellenbosch University. His research could help ensure food authenticity by distinguishing between free-range and conventional chicken. Originally aiming for a medical career, Eduard found his passion for chemistry, leading him to food science. He hopes to bridge the gaps between universities and the food industry and strives to make food science accessible and engaging for the public. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Eduard.
Iron Man walks into Pick and Pay. His assistant, Paper Potts, called in sick, and now he has to do the grocery shopping himself. He sees a delicious apple, and he says, "Jarvis, analyze that apple." "Woot, certainly, sir. That's a Granny Smith apple, harvested 3 weeks ago. It contains 83% water, 10% sugar, and 4 milligrams of vitamin C." Ladies and gentlemen, this is not science fiction. This is hyperspectral imaging. Hyperspectral, that sounds complicated, so let's break it down. Hyper means many, and spectral means light. Basically, we're taking very specialized photos of the food. We are looking exactly how much each of the wavelengths or colors are being reflected, and then we use mathematical models to work out exactly what the food is made of. Still sounds like magic, right? Well, hyperspectral cameras don't actually work that differently to your phone's camera. Your phone's camera captures 3 channels, red, green, and blue, and it combines them to make a picture. And that's perfectly fine for selfies. But it's not enough to analyze food. For that, hyperspectral cameras like this one use 200 different channels of visible and infrared light. Okay, hyperspectral cameras are cool, but do we really need them? They are so expensive after all. Well, in 1981, 4,000 people died when Spanish olive oil was diluted with canola oil. In 2008, Chinese babies, 50,000 of them, were hospitalized after infant formula was adulterated with melamine. In 2017, here in South Africa, 200 people passed away from listeriosis after eating polony that was contaminated. Sometimes, even when food looks fine, it might be deadly. But why don't the companies test the food, you ask? They do. The problem is our current methods are slow, expensive, and destructive, so we can only analyze a few samples and problems can slip through. At Stellenbosch, we're using hyperspectral imaging to determine when meats like pork have been mixed into beef patties. We can measure how much toxic mold is growing. And in my research, we can distinguish between normal and free-range chicken. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to leave here today knowing that not all food companies tamper with your food. Most food scientists want you to enjoy safe, nutritious, and delicious food. This research brings us a step closer to a future where food never makes you sick. Thank you.
All right, let's hear it for Edward. Edward, listen, I want this technology to go a step further, man. I want it to look into people, you know, and penetrate through their souls and see the kind of person that I'm dealing with. Saves me the trouble, saves me the time, and all these things that you can think about. All right, judges, let's hear from you.
Trust me, I want that as well.
That was a very confident delivery, Edward. I'm curious though, how close are we to this camera, to it being used in the real world or wide scale use?
So I think a big breakthrough was very recently the technology actually became portable. Previously, it was big systems that had to be fixed in place or mounted on planes. So now that that breakthrough is done, the next breakthrough is just lots of research. The big challenge is that with a sensitive instrument, garbage in means garbage out. The operator has to know what he's doing to make a reliable model that always works in all situations. And once that research starts accumulating, it will be a snowball effect. And I think once South African food companies see the value of this technology and start adopting it, we are almost there. So I would give it just a few decades. Like 1 or 2.
Edward, thank you for that beautiful intro. Just out of interest, how do you see science communication fitting into your career, given the exciting work that you do? I mean, you must communicate this so that people can understand. They can also be aware of what is happening around them.
I think it's 2 parts. Firstly, I chose science because I wanted to help people. And I think students, especially high school students, need to realize that if you make a breakthrough in science, you can be helping thousands of people at once. And also, science tends to be very behind the scenes. But when we make science known to people and realize that science is actually just opportunity, it's a way to shape the future that we imagine. And that imagined future can be our reality. That is why science communication is important to us. We've been inspired by great science communicators abroad, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Steve Hawking, and all of them. It's time for South Africa to also step up and show that our science, with our unique background, can add value.
All right, one more time for Edward. Thank you very much, Edward. I can absolutely see the application of this. Those of you know the current challenges we face with spaza shops, right? The kind of foods we often doubt. So this would be a very good African solution to our African problems. Very well done. Thank you very much, Edward. We're going to move on to lucky number 7, Cetu Mgwili. Now, I must mention, for the very first time this year, we were joined by Walter Sisulu University, right? Compliments to another FameLab alumni. So this right here in front of us goes a very long way. Passionate, creative, and always ready for a solution, Cetu Mgwili is redefining what it means to make a difference in the world of science. As a qualified medical I'm just joking, orthotist, okay, guys? And a prosthetist and a junior lecturer at Walter Sisulu University. She is blending engineering and medicine to innovate for the future. Currently pursuing a master's in science, physiology, and anatomy. She has a research focus of creating adjustable, reusable, prosthetic pylons for children, aiming to make prosthetics more sustainable and accessible. Cetu is committed to using her science, Tiamo did say it was long, science communication skills to empower others and foster a more informed society. For the very first time, I need us not only to welcome Walter Sisulu University, but also Cetu.
Can you hear me? Okay, so let me start. In the heart of every healthcare practitioner lies the desire to help people. Perhaps let me tell you about my inspiration. During my training clinical years as a medical orthotic prosthetics, I observed how most prosthetic users would have to travel as far as 300 to 500 kilometers to acquire prosthetic services. And this applies to 92% of prosthetic users in South Africa, currently dependent on the public sector, as prosthetic components are very expensive and unaffordable for most. So frequent travels were highly observed in children as they're still growing, and therefore there's a frequent need to change their prosthetic height to accommodate the growth. Just imagine your 6-year-old walking with one leg shorter or one leg longer. The strain and the discomfort in their body, not to even mention the physical appearance and the taint to their confidence. The sorrow I felt upon the realization that most of these families depend on the child's social grant to even finance these frequent travels, compromising on the child's basic needs. This experience sparked an idea in my mind. What if there was a way to make prosthetic pylons adjustable on the move without the need of a replacement, tools, or professional? An adjustable prosthetic pylon that can adjust to the overall needs of the prosthetic user at just the click of a button. Yes, you heard me just right. Our very own locally manufactured adjustable prosthetic pylon tailored for our own needs at just the click or twist of a button to the perfect height for the user, the terrain, and the overall growth sprout. A variety is always better, right? So these pylons are available in 3 different designs, accommodating both children and adults, with each in 3 different materials, which are aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber, assuring availability to everyone of different social backgrounds, considering that prosthetic services in South Africa and most developing countries already lack the resources and services while facing huge amounts of backlog and limited supply. But the beauty of this adjustable prosthetic pylon is that it tackles these issues through elimination of wastage of prosthetic pylons, sustains the child longer, and is reusable. But ladies and gentlemen, most importantly, these pylons are here to help people and empower our future leaders. Therefore, allow me to introduce you to the world of plenty for the less able. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Cetu. Another round of applause. Judges, over to you.
Cetu, this sounds amazing, but it also sounds like it might be a sustainable solution to a problem, which doesn't look good when you think about how much money there is in medical. Have you thought or have you considered the business case for rolling out your invention or your innovation?
To be honest, not working. Okay, to be honest, in terms of outrolling, I'm really not sure. I'm going to, also taking me to a convention of business webinars where I'm going to be meeting people that would be advising in terms of how do I take it to the market in terms of business wise. But otherwise, I'm doing my clinical trials with Department of Health. So we've spoken with them because mostly it would work for them because they get a limited budget in terms of purchasing prosthetic supplies. Now, if they're using the old pylon, when a new person comes, they have to cut it, grind it, and then, but with this one, the child will sustain the child for a period of 2 years, and we're not messing with the properties of the material, so that can be brought back into the hospital and be used to another child. So for them, it will be conducive, yes.
This is a really exciting product. And there are several elements of science communication to this. It's to policymakers, it's to insurers, it's to healthcare providers. But I want you to talk a bit about science communication to the end user. This is a technical product, but it can have a huge impact on their life. Have you thought about that?
I think one thing that has helped me is meeting people that have faced these challenges, like meeting mothers that have faced these challenges, meeting older people, because it also works for older people, especially first-time prosthetic users. So getting them to explain and see the concept of it, especially now that I have a prototype, getting them to explain and see the concept of it, it makes them realize that they've honestly, because currently we have a project where we're doing pediatric prosthetics. Most of the children, their prosthetics are now shorter, but the mothers have kept that because they're thinking of the on and off traveling. So that project has helped me into showcasing this product and making them understand the importance of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for Cetu. Prosthetics. Prosthetics. Ladies and gentlemen, Moving right along, please help me welcome on stage Nokuphiwa Madlala. Nokuphiwa Madlala's PhD research at UNISA examines the exposure of petrol attendants to harmful chemicals, aiming to improve health and safety standards in their workplace. Through this work, she aims to enhance our understanding of polluters' impact and promote more sustainable environmental practices. Despite facing challenges, she has grown personally and professionally, using her passion for science to make a difference. When she's not in the lab, she enjoys and is very good at drawing. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Nokuphiwa from University of South Africa.
Hello. Hi. Okay. Can I begin? That is a sound of a horn, typical of what you would hear at a petrol station during peak hours. But as it stands, we've come to dread those moments at petrol stations where today, with constant increase in fuel prices, with the constant increase in fuel prices, even 200 Rand can't get you 2 drops of petrol. Now, while you may be worried about the cost of fuel, there is something far more costly in the air, and it's called BTEX, a group of compounds contained in that pungent smell of fuel. Now, they may not necessarily cost your wallet, but they are a silent risk, affecting our petrol attendants daily. With a cool name like BTEX, you may be wondering, how are these compounds harmful? Well, let's dive into why. Since they can evaporate easily, it means they can also be breathed in easily. And when they do, they start sending the wrong signals. Picture this as one of the important molecules in your body. Let's say DNA. When the wrong signals are sent, they start changing the structure of these molecules. And when that happens, your internal systems start behaving in ways that they are not meant to. And that is when one can start getting headaches. But even worse, cancers such as leukemia. Now, petrol attendants in their line of work are exposed to even higher levels of BTEX compared to you and I. But to what extent, really? Well, that is where my research comes in. But first, would you believe me if I told you that your urine can tell a story? Of course, not in words, but it holds clues of the substances that you take in daily and how they interact with your body. And so in my work, we collect urine samples from petrol attendants in order to uncover the impacts of BTEX exposure and to also discover if the petrol stations they work in are actually following the guidelines set by health organizations. One urine sample at a time. My work will ensure that our brothers and sisters working as petrol attendants are protected from work-related illnesses. So while we may grumble about how little fuel we get for our money, let's remember that petrol attendants pay a far greater price, a cost to their health. So sound the call, because every breath they take fuels our journey. Thank you.
All right, Nokuphiwa. You know, Nokuphiwa, this reminds me of this question that people ask about what strange smell do you enjoy intaking? And I always think around the lines of petroleum, but that's not good. Okay, judges.
Nokuphiwa, thank you for that presentation. I think this is a very welcome study that I think there should be agency around. I'm just curious, do you anticipate the different companies being much more friendlier to your findings, in the sense that ultimately it will mean that they must spend more on making sure that their employees are well protected from what you have discovered from it?
Okay. I anticipate that it is an investment to them in investing in the health of their workers. Remember that when your petrol attendants or any other working person is ill, it means that they have to take leave. That means that you run behind on the production of the company. So in a sense, it may not necessarily so basically, in a nutshell, by investing in the health of your workers, you are investing in the overall productivity of your company.
Thank you, Nokuphiwa. So occupational health and safety is such an important issue, but how will you use communications, particularly to reassure workers that they're not being screened for anything else with a urine test?
Okay. I think that it is very important, first of all, to create an environment whereby there is trust between you and the petrol attendant, and not even you and the petrol attendant, but between you and the manager as well, who is basically the boss of the petrol station. So when to these petrol attendants, ethically, we are bound to be honest. And ethically, even when we go to the lab, we are bound to do exactly what we have said we are going to do. So I think creating that relationship whereby petrol attendants are very clear on what the study is about, and then we also bind ourselves by signing forms that this is what we are going to do. And even when we go to analyze, we do exactly what we have said that we are going to do. So I think that it is very important to do so.
All right, one last time for Nokuphiwa. Is everybody still having a good time? Well, 8 talks down. We are down to our second to last participant for the evening from Northwest University. Did you know that dietary changes might offer new hope for neurodegenerative diseases? Well, Luciano Willemse is a PhD candidate in biochemistry at Northwest University and is exploring the potential for studying dietary interventions in a mouse model. Now, when you say mouse, I think mouse. His work aims to uncover natural, cost-effective treatments for rare diseases, which could be a game changer for underserved communities. Passionate about making science accessible, Luciano also enjoys cooking, writing poetry, maybe he can slam for us a bit later on, and singing, blending his scientific and creative talents. Ladies and gentlemen, Luciano Willemse.
Can you hear me? You don't understand how much I need to pee, but it's okay. Can I start? You're sitting on your couch while watching your favorite series on Netflix. And just as you reach the most intense scene, bam, the screen goes black, Eskom's load shedding strikes again. Frustrating, right? Now imagine the same thing happening, but in your body. And that's what life is like for people, especially children, suffering from Lee syndrome, a rare genetic condition that wreaks havoc on your body's energy supply and energy department, the mitochondria. They can also be seen as the battery of the body. This condition usually affects the brain and nervous system. And just like Eskom's load shedding can disrupt our daily lives, this condition can have devastating effects on health and oftentimes be fatal. But fear not, for in my research study, we're delving into potential solution, making use of a mouse model of the same disease. We're taking a look at a special diet enriched with healthy fats like omega-3s from fish oil. This diet could act like a superhero cape for mitochondria, boosting their performance and restoring energy levels. Our mission was clear: to see whether a diet packed with healthy fats like that from fish oil could be a game changer for this disease. But first, picture this: 4 groups of mice. Healthy mice on either a regular diet or special diet containing fish oil, sick mice on either a regular diet or special diet containing fish oil. And our results are promising. Not only did the mice that were given this special diet live significantly longer, but they also showed significant improvements in their symptoms. It is clear from our study that this diet works its magic through alleviation and reduction of inflammation and swelling throughout the body, and in return, it cleans out the battery to restore energy. This diet and dietary intervention could offer a ray of hope for people and children battling this disease, as well as other diseases where inflammation and swelling occurs on a cellular level and throughout the body, without the need of extensive and expensive treatments such as surgery, in a way that enhances quality of life. After all, who doesn't want more energy and power? And in this case, no more load shedding. Well, at least in the body. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for Luciano. Judges, over to you.
Hi, Luciano. Tell me, why do you want to share this work with the public?
Well, everyone needs to eat, right? So whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're male, whether you're female, everyone needs to eat. And this is a relatively cheaper alternative than what we have in conventional medicine with regards to treatment options that are available. So it's important for me to share this work to make the public aware of what's happening in science. Also to restore public trust and transparency with regards to scientific research.
Thank you, Luciano, for that presentation. So what's next after here? I mean, the findings of your study are quite interesting, but what is next for you?
So with these rare diseases, especially this disease we're working on, it is also relevant for other, not just rare diseases, but the mitochondria plays a role in multiple diseases. So cancer, heart disease, you name it. So going forward, this helps us to elucidate on the mechanisms such as we've seen with inflammation to open up the door for more affordable and alternative treatments for not just rare diseases, but other chronic diseases in general. So going forward would be see what else is out there. See how we can, because we did it now in mice, but what's the effect going to be in humans? Why, we shoot for the stars, it falls in our hand,
A round of applause for Luciano. More and more this evening, we are learning that you actually are what you eat. All I am is chocolate. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me. Welcome on stage, Yolanda Mngongo. In South Africa, hospital infections pose a serious health risk, affecting many patients each year. Yolanda, an MSc candidate in environmental health at Nelson Mandela University, is tackling this challenge with her research. She's developing eco-friendly silver nanoparticles from medicinal plants to improve air purification systems in hospitals. Her goal is to reduce infections and enhance patient care. Yolanda's dedication to clear science communication ensures that her groundbreaking work aims to be accessible and beneficial to everybody. And she didn't say this, but she's an awesome singer. Please welcome on stage, Yolanda.
Once upon a time, there was a lady that was 75 years old named Sarah in a hospital ward. She just had surgery. Sarah has diabetes and high blood pressure. These are putting a strain on her immune system, making it weak. While the doctors are focusing on her recovery, unfortunately, she faces this invisible threat of armies and armies of germs in the air. Now, these germs are putting a risk in her life, leading to what we call healthcare acquired infections, which was an infection that she didn't have when she was being admitted at the hospital. But unfortunately, due to the poor environmental conditions in the hospital, she contracted it. Unfortunately, Sarah is not alone. 1 in 7 South African patients are facing this silent danger each and every day. Hospitals are working hard to clean the surfaces, but the air, that's much harder to control because the germs are very clever. They can travel from surfaces into the air through to the hospital ventilation systems, making it easier for them to infect patients like Sarah that are already vulnerable. And this is where I come in. I am developing a sustainable solution by merging ancient wisdom of medicinal plants and modern science of nanotechnology to create silver nanoparticles. These particles are 100,000 times smaller than a strand of hair, of human hair, in fact. Imagine that. These may be tiny, yet they are so powerful because they have what we call antibacterial properties. They have the power to kill this bacteria. Now, as the saying says, dynamites come in small packages. How do I do this? I combine silver salts with medicinal plants that our ancestors used to fight infections. Now, I take these nanoparticles and coat them on an air filter that can be put in hospital ventilation systems. These nanoparticles will act like tiny soldiers to trap and kill these germs from the hospital air. Now, this is more than just a breakthrough. It's a cost-effective solution that can even be used across South Africa, even by those hospitals that have fewer resources. On the other hand, this contributes to the Sustainable Development Goal 3, which promotes good health and well-being. With this solution, hospitals can be left infection-free and we can protect patients like Sarah. I thank you.
All right, let's hear it for Yolanda, everybody. Right, judges.
Yolanda, hospital-acquired infection is such a huge problem. So thank you for researching this work. And I think it's a beautiful spot where you get indigenous knowledge as well as modern science. So if I could grant you a wish to speak to someone tomorrow in South Africa, who would that be? Tough one. It's my last question.
It really is. I would say it would be Petrus Motsepe, one of the biggest businessmen that I believe that they would be very inspired by this work and they would be able to invest in such work so that even the people, as I said, that are in rural areas, people that have fewer resources will be able to access this, this technology.
Okay, if you win, I'll make a call.
Thank you. I really want to piggyback on your question. What would you say to them? How would you convince them that this is a worthwhile investment?
Noted. Thank you so much for that. First of all, as you have mentioned, Doc, that we are using indigenous knowledge. We are heading towards a future that looks for sustainable solutions, that looks for safer solutions, so that people, when you bring a solution to people, it doesn't create another problem. And that is the main thing of using the medicinal plants that even our ancestors have used, which is why I would actually highlight that to say, even though they would be investing in this solution, they would still be investing in something that is cost effective and that would actually help people of South Africa. For instance, my grandmother, unfortunately, went to the hospital and also contracted the hospital acquired infection. But unfortunately, I didn't know what it was by then, up until I went and did environmental health, which is mainly a field of prevention, monitoring any factors that may cause infections and diseases. So this is work that is also personally inspired. And unfortunately, even though our hospitals may look as if they are clean, but the air, as I said, is very much harder to control. I thank you.
All right, let's hear it one more time for Yolanda. And then one last time for all 10 finalists that we heard from this evening. Yeah. Absolutely inspiring talks. Well done to each and every single one of you. In my eyes, definitely you are a winner. But the judges do, though, have to go and choose a winner. For those of us that are staying behind, whilst the judges go off to deliberate, remember that audience vote. This is when you get to cast your vote. Who do you think is going to be the winner here tonight? Maybe you guys can stand and show your faces one more time so that they can see. This is who you are casting your vote for here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, choose wisely. All right, that QR code is going to go up on our screens and you get to cast your vote for our fellow participants here. For those of us that are joining us from home, that link right now in the chat box is coming up. Yeah.
We've done a bit of traveling tonight, haven't we?
Yes.
We've come from the bottom of rivers. We've gone through the black hole. We've gone into people's tummies and brains. We've even x-rayed an apple.
We have.
So it has been fun-filled. But while the judges deliberate, we're just going to take this time to do a bit of engagement. After all, this is a science communication competition. So let's communicate. I'm going to take a few questions from the audience, be it a comment for one of the speakers or a question from one of them. Oh, we already have a taker. When you give an answer, kindly step on stage so that even the viewers who are streaming live can have a view of you. And when you ask, please direct it to one of the speakers, if you may. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I have a question for Miss Yolanda. Yolanda, I just want to know specifically which ancestral herbs are you using? Because I've heard a lot of people using things like scanama, all of that. So which herb specifically are you using and integrating into your polymer nanotechnology?
Intellectual property. Thank you so much for that question. Unfortunately, I won't be able to say the exact word of the plant itself, but as I said, it's plants that have the power to, or they have, let's say they have healing properties. The ones that are commonly known that was used during COVID as well was umhlonyane. So your grandmother would actually go to the backyard, hear you coughing, go to the backyard and take that, brew that for you and actually give it to you. After that, your fever would be. So it's similar plants that I'm actually using. So as I said, I'm focusing on the gems that are in the hospital A or in the hospital environment. So basically it would be plants that have the power to kill bacteria. Thank you.
Any other question?
Cetu, I wanted to ask, so your thingy, your adjustment thing is just for the leg part. I wanted to ask if the foot part also gets adjusted as well as they get older.
Hi. So it's only for adjustment of height growth, not of the foot, as the foot can be changed and the growth of the foot is not the same as the growth of the height. The growth of the height is more significant, even more than your weight. Children come back for height adjustment more than they do come back for their socket not fitting, the part of the prosthetic that gets into the leg that's remaining. So they come back for those issues more. So, and the fact that it tackles only height, it only works for adults. Because you find out with first-time prosthetic users, they've not been using that muscles. So the muscles are flabby. Now, when they start using the muscles start to form because there's volumic changes there. Then the prosthetic starts to be longer for them. So then instead of them going back to the hospital and going to adjust that, they can simply adjust it for themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that answer. Do we have any other question? I see one there at the back. Please just switch on your mic, sir.
Yeah, evening colleagues. My question goes to Nokuphiwa Malumana. So her innovation is actually a good one, by the way, because I'm seeing you shaking your head. Is it direct? Oh, okay.
Who's talking while you're talking?
Okay. So my question is that will the innovation be accessible to ordinary citizens? Because seeing that people like from Hammanskraal, you know, they're currently facing the same challenges that you have mentioned. Is it going to be accessible to ordinary citizens? I mean, that's the whole point of having such, you know, a product. So perhaps if maybe estimate, let's say it comes to the market tomorrow, how much is it going to be? Do you think it's going to be accessible and stuff like that? Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Hope I'm audible. Um, yes, the whole point now is to find an innovative solution specifically for people in the rural areas, because they are the ones who are using these buckets for storing water more than people in the urban areas. So if it becomes successful, we will take it to the market, and we can also explore further to pilot it to maybe to agricultural sectors, because they also store water there so that they can also disinfect their water. So what we are doing currently is that we are trying to explore cheaper materials, cheaper nanoparticles that we can use, so that people from rural areas, because they don't have money, they are not willing to spend money on something that they are on some other things than what they already have now. So we're trying to find the cheapest solution that we have, so that it's cheaper for people in the rural areas.
Much for that. We've got one question from the people who are joining us online, and this one goes to Havila. And the question is, what inspires you to keep on doing this research, especially at a water scarce area like Makhanda?
So let me tell you a bit about Makhanda if you don't know. We have water shedding the way we have load shedding. The first time I got to Makhanda, I think it was a week into being there. And on one very lazy morning, I got up at 8 a.m. and nobody had warned me about this. Turned on the shower, it wasn't working. And I was like, okay, maybe something's wrong with the geyser. And then I go check the geyser and there's no water either. That was a very frustrating start of the last 2 years. So what inspires me to continue doing this? It's because of these issues. It's because the water we have is already stressed. So if the water we source from to provide water to communities, because a lot of the rivers are dammed, and then those dams feed water treatment plants, and then those water treatment plants recirculate the water to communities. If those water systems are already stressed, then it's going to affect us too that already don't have water. So yeah, that's my inspiration.
Thank you very much for that. Any other questions? Okay. Let me take you here, and then I'll come to you. I want to finish off with you.
Thank you to all the contestants, great research work. It's very relevant to the society that we live in individually. Each one of you should give yourselves a round of applause. So my question is directed to Tula. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So your work is more around moss in South Africa in the context. So I'm wondering, the moss that you're studying, specifically endemic or indigenous to South Africa?
So in these, the biocrusts, it's not just moss, it's moss and lichen and cyanobacteria and fungi and normal bacteria. So it's kind of just like a whole party. And a lot of these species are endemic, but they're also not even identified or described yet. So we don't necessarily know what species there are. Some species are internationally known species, global species, like Centrichia. They actually recently sent Centrichia to, not sent, but they put Centrichia under Mars like simulations, and it survived on Mars. So that just shows like how really cool these these biocrust components are like, they can survive really harsh conditions. And that's why they're really important for our soil, because they act as like, you know, a protectant for our soil. So yeah, the thing is, they're so understudied that we don't know what species make them up yet. But yeah, that's a question that I'm hoping to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder to please vote for your favorite. Online, the link should be provided in the chat box. And for those of us who are here, please scan the QR code and vote for your audience favorite. Any other question? Okay, I'm going to take the lady at the back, followed by you in the front.
Hi, my question is to Edwards. I hope I'm pronouncing your name well. So my question is that, given you were talking about the camera that scans the food products and everything, I was just curious on how does it work. I can imagine in a big store like Pick n Pay, for example, does it scan the products individually? Would they expected to scan apple by apple and banana by banana, or how will it actually work? Thank you.
Yes, very good question. So scanning the products in the shop, that is the best case scenario. That is the final, that's where we want to be one day. I think first the technology will be implemented in food factories as quality control so that they can scan all the products as they come across on the production line. So in Norway, for example, they are already scanning salmon fillets. And so they can detect if anything is wrong with that salmon fillet, if there's something on there that shouldn't be there. So once we've got that down and implemented, and once our knowledge about these cameras and our expertise improves, then hopefully it will work as a food fraud measure. So maybe the health inspector or the retail inspectors, they can go to the shop and scan actual products that have already been supplied and then confirm the authenticity and the safety of those products. So it's one step at a time. We will get there eventually, but it first needs to go through a few other steps. You were also asking how it works. So in the same way that you and I can look at a red apple and a green apple, we see that they are different. So our eyes are actually giving us chemical information. There's anthocyanins in the red apple and there's chlorophyll in the green apple. Now that's an obvious difference, but hyperspectral cameras can see very, very small differences as well. And so we build a fingerprint of each kind of food that we want, and that's how we can tell them apart at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you for that response. I'll take you, followed by you.
All right. Thank you very much. Congratulations to all the panelists. You guys were amazing, super inspired. My question is to Nonkululeko, right? So Nonkululeko, the rural communities are very interesting communities. And I'll give you an example with COVID, where some of the rural, I come from the Free State, so some of the rural places really were like, COVID again to Gauteng, you know? COVID is not for us. So they did not actually experience the harshness and the lockdown that people, let's say, in big cities did. And so buy-in into COVID is very different for them to say, but we don't see it. We didn't experience it. We were walking around without masks. So for you in particular, you survived. You drank the same water, but here you are. So how would you then get buy-in with that kind of question? To say, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Okay, that's a really tough one. Okay, but okay, I survived. I drank that water and I survived. And currently, actually, a few weeks back, we had, okay, so I come from Mpumalanga, I'll give you Mpumalanga scenarios. We had people in Babaton being sick from diarrhea. And they themselves suspected that maybe the diarrhea is from the water that they drink. And we had people dying from Hammanskraal. So this is an existing issue. When I was growing up, we used to have this diarrhea out of nowhere. We do not know where it is coming from. I have a 3 years old baby. In most cases, diarrhea. everywhere. We don't know where it's coming from. So the aim is to actually collaborate with the government and create awareness that this is where you might be getting your diarrhea, and to avoid getting diarrhea in the future, or worse, dying from the water that we drink. Here is a solution for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I think I'm going to take my last question. But before I do, ladies and gentlemen, please note that voting has now officially closed. Thank you so much for your participation. We had over 300 votes that were submitted. I'm going to take a last question over there.
I think you can go that side because I already had a chance to answer. The gentleman over there wanted to ask a question, so I'll veto mine.
No, it's okay. He'll get his chance.
Okay. This one goes to Nadia. Nadia, from my layman understanding, diagnoses like depression are coupled with like diagnoses like ADHD, MMC, anxiety, and all of that. Does your treatment also have a mitigating factor towards that, or would you have to take separate medication? And how does that then interface with the traditional medications that people take for such?
Thank you. That's a great question. So the current treatments, most of them that are on the markets and are widely distributed, only target one pathway. They only target something that's low in the brain that they want to boost. And that specific chemical only boosts your mood. So looking at this drug that we developed, it not only boosted your ghrelin, the hunger hormone, it boosted your reward hormone, it boosted your memory hormone. I'm calling them very simple names now. And that also went coupled with improvements in antidepressant behavior, improvements in reward-related behavior, improvements in cognitive impairment, people that can't remember. So as you said, depression is more than just someone being lazy. I hate it when people say that. It's some of these people they can't even get up in the morning because they don't want that reward. They don't want to do anything. Others, they can't remember anything. It's like a brain fog that comes over them. And this drug, because it targets so many things at one time, it can actually address this. We've already tested it in Alzheimer's, models of Alzheimer's in Slovenia. It worked. I don't want to say it yet, but it worked. It worked as good as the drug that's currently being given to Alzheimer's patients. Now that we tested it at the Northwest University, it worked better than the antidepressants that's given to 80% of people upon the first try. So this thing is going far. But it's just the idea, the mental shift of going beyond. It's not just this drug. It's to inspire other researchers to really look beyond the brain, look at people as a whole. We know diversity is the key. We know it's the key. So why not embrace that? And that's, thank you.
And thank you very much. None of them, this one works. Thank you very much, guys, for your questions. They were very engaging questions and they were very interesting questions. Now, FameLab is not an event. FameLab is a lifestyle. And to prove this, we are joined amongst us by one of the FameLab alumni. And I'm hoping that he talks to you about how this competition changed his life and how it has contributed to him being a science communicator. It does not end tonight. There are relationships that are formed, there are bonds that are formed, and there's interest that is sparked in each one of us. Please come down for 2 minutes. You're a former FameLabber, you know how to do it in 3.
Hi, everyone. I was not expecting this at all. So just to be fast and quick about this, FameLab truly was a very positive experience that I had. Number one, it was an easy way to leave Grahamstown quickly for not too long. You know what it is. You know what it is. But more importantly, I think what we learned were skills, especially during the workshopping, that was able to impact me so much even going forward into my life. I have since left academia, right? I was in academia for quite a while, and I might decide to go back part-time, whatever the case might be. But the skill set that we were given, right, to understand, first of all, just how to present, confidence within your own self, and then even more importantly, the role of being able to not only do research and to do science, but to be able to explain it to people. It means absolutely nothing if you cannot convince that politician, that business person, this is how we would like to do this and this is how it's relevant to you. Right now, we're busy putting together a presentation at my workplace, and we decided to finish off the video with a impact video. So I would like to just implore every single person, take the opportunity to come through, participate in FameLabs. And to those people that have already participated and you guys that have been brave enough to come in and to dedicate the hours and the time, right, as Siamo would know, I would just like to say thank you so much to you guys, and please do not stop. Just because you've participated, and yes, there will be some disappointment. You didn't win. I was literally in the same year as Siamo, so obviously I didn't win. Obviously I didn't win, but it doesn't mean that we can't still participate. It doesn't mean that we still can't be interested in understanding what's happening with young researchers in today. Okay. So everyone, please give a round of applause again to all of the participants. Give a round of applause to the organizers, I think, to all of the other staff members that have been involved in this. Abu MC, yes, I have not seen you in such a long time.
All right, let's put our hands together. That was Otto. Listen, I always talk about my superpower. My superpower is that I'm very good with names and faces. So I remember meeting Otto. It was at Grahamstown. Either the heat had moved to Port Elizabeth, so Rhodes and NMMU at that time. So I remember meeting Ollie. Thank you very much for continuously carrying that torch. All right, I need us to welcome our judges back with a round of applause. Judges, how was it? Did you pull each other's hair? Are you still on good terms with each other? What's going on? Doesn't look like it went very well. Maybe you want to talk us through just a little bit about how things were. How did you find the deliberations? Was it easy? Was it not so easy? Do you need some motivation? Did you rock, paper, scissors?
We flipped many coins. So there was a clear winner tonight. And it was so easy. And the winner was South Africa.
Love it.
So it is just incredible to see the talent we have, and not just the talent in research, but putting out the research. Each and every one of the finalists had this beautiful charisma.
Yeah.
We saw their personalities come through. So it was really, really tough. Okay. On a Thursday evening, for us to make a decision was a really tough one, but I think we did get somewhere.
All right. Thank you very much to our judges. I always love it when South Africa is the winner. It happened in 2017. It happened in 2022. Let's cross fingers that it gets to happen once more in 2024. Now, on behalf of all our partners, I'd like to ask Robert Ingalls, who is the director at Jive Media Africa, just to give us a vote of thanks, as well as telling us how things went. Rob, when people hear Jive Media, they expect you to come on. Galaga, hey, where's the music? Robert Ingalls, everybody.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, everyone. It's quite vibey, but I was going to say it feels like, isn't it that we're in a bit of a mess? We've heard about mountains of plastic breeding antibiotic resistant bacteria and depression that resists treatment and hospital infections and climate change that's affecting every part of the planet. But of course, somehow it's not feeling depressing. Those are the topics we've heard about tonight. But be interesting to think about why it's not feeling depressing. Perhaps before I go there, to reflect a little bit on the idea that the medium is the message. This is Marshall McLuhan's statement in the 70s. He was a communication theorist, but he was saying that it's not actually the message that causes big impact in society, it's the medium. So what's the medium that we've been witnessing tonight? And I think it's a wonderful and remarkable thing, but a public speech, a speech standing up in front of people, being able to speak confidently and capably, that's the powerful medium that can actually cause some change. So think about it. Without any of these contestants actually touching any of us, somehow they're capable of causing an actual physical change in our bodies. That's happening like through the airwaves and across a live stream. It's happening all over the world. People's bodies, literal physical changes in the chemistry, the biochemistry of our brains and our bodies, which will cause us to behave in different ways, having heard that speech. So that's phenomenally powerful. I think what makes tonight more exciting than the science which we're learning, the messages, is in fact this medium of the passionate young science communicators who are in front of us tonight. And there's something that each of them has which is not very scientific at all, I would argue, and that's something called hope. So I won't move into a Star Wars hope conversation now, but there's hope in these young researchers when they identify their topics. There's hope in these young researchers when they plan their research. And there's hope when they share these ideas with other people so that change can happen. But because hope isn't very scientific, we're not supposed to speculate too much about the future. As scientists, we're supposed to be able to say what is and what can be proven. It actually doesn't get a lot of airtime in scientific conversations. But because it doesn't get that airtime, we actually risk losing our audiences with some of that very complex and perhaps challenging reality that we're working on. And so I think an encouragement to you to feel that hope and then bring that feeling out in all of your research and all of your communication, which is obviously what's happened tonight and why we're not sitting feeling depressed in this room. I think at Jive, we would often say we're all about science communication, but of course, we're not all about science communication. We could possibly argue that we're more about solutions communication or bringing people together to have the conversations and discussions that can result in a brighter future. So I think this passion and this hope for the future is where the magic really starts to happen and why we're so excited about this competition. It's my privilege and pleasure to thank all of you for bringing such incredible stories to the stage. That's all of you here. It's all the semi-finalists who were part of this competition until a week ago and remain part of a FameLab alumni and a FameLab family. And it's also thousands of young scientists who attended all of the heats and have over the last 12 years of running this competition in South Africa. And really, thanks to all of you who make this possible. But then I really would like to name by institution all of those who've made this possible. So please bear with me. Rhodes University, Northwest University, Nelson Mandela University, Stellenbosch, Walter Sisulu, the Genus Paleosciences Center of Excellence at University of Witwatersrand, the Center of Excellence in Maths and Statistical Sciences, University of South Africa, UNISA, the National Institute for Theoretical and Computational Sciences, and the facilities at University of Johannesburg and UCT, where some of those events took place. Without those partners, we can't actually run this competition. So this is really thanks to you and an invitation to all of the institutions where we haven't been able to run FameLab up until now, or if we haven't run it in the last year, please can we partner with you in the year ahead to work with more of your young researchers so that they can share their vision for African science. Our final thanks go to the judges. You've been magnificent, really, really hugely grateful to you. Fantastic judges, and of course to the teams at SASTA and at Jive Media Africa and the National Research Foundation who've made all of this possible. So thank you very much. And with that, I'll hand back to our wonderful MCs.
Thank you very much, Robert. Another round of applause for Robert. At this stage, on the stage, I'd like to call on on the stage all the speakers that we had today. All the finalists, please ascend. Can you please give them a warm round of applause? And as they get on stage, Mr. Michael Ellis, can you please come forward to thank them for their participation and to hand them proof that they were here? Evidence-based research.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so well done. Excellent, excellent talk. What a, I was down at NMU actually last week in a similar event. And I just said to my team at SASTA, it's so wonderful to go to talks like this because it is exhilarating for us that sit in the NRF and provide research grants. It's really nice to really get down to the research level and hear about what research is happening and how it is changing lives. And I think you've articulated that really well today, the impact of your research. I say it a lot nowadays, research impact is becoming a hot topic. To be able to articulate your research impact, or at least your desired research impact, is becoming increasingly important in our granting processes as NRF. So I think you're well ahead of the curve and hopefully setting yourself up for a really successful research career. Well done, and we really appreciate your time that you've put in to prepare for this evening. So thank you. All right. So from our side, let's just thank you with a certificate of appreciation and achievement. So I'll start with Tula. And Luyanda. Nonkululeko. Nadia. Havila. Edward. Cetu. Nokuphiwa. Luciano. And finally, Yolanda. Well done, everyone. Excellent. And now over to you guys again.
No. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ellis, for that. And we have the votes. They are in. We've got the results. But before we do, I'd just like to ask one of our judges, what advice would you give to our speakers? Dr. Desmond?
Is to smile more. Well, I think you did everything absolutely amazing. And I think also, Tiamo, probably it has to do with the training that was afforded to them before. But there's absolutely nothing additional that I can add. I think everything that was required was there. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the judges. Are you ready? And the first award I want to give is that of Hype Man of the Night. That goes to Luciano. Your energy is amazing.
Shall we go to our audience votes? Who did you guys vote for?
1, 2, 3, let's go.
South Africa.
Ladies and gentlemen, our audience vote for the 2024 FameLab final goes to Cetu.
Walter Sisulu University, where are you? All right, a very big, warm congratulations to Siposet. Siposet, so you don't just get that certificate, you also do get a cash prize as our audience vote winner. Congratulations one more time for Siposetu. All right, we are narrowing it down. Ladies and gentlemen, second runner-up, this person is in third place. I need us to put our hands together for drum roll, please. Edwards. That is our second runner-up for the evening. Congratulations, Edward, all the way from Stellenbosch University. Edward also walks away with the cash prize here tonight. Listen, I'm going to be signing checks after this. Congratulations, Edward.
Many monies. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for our first runner-up. Drum roll. Our winner for the first runner-up is the person from over and over again. Well done, Cetu. Another round of applause.
All right, just in case something happens to our winner, God forbid, Cetu would then be the one to step up and go and represent South Africa in the international final. But for today, the person who walks away with that title, that FameLab title, walking away with the cash prize as well as that opportunity to go and represent South Africa in the international final against more than 30 countries across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, I need us to give a very warm, insane round of applause, and that goes to Yolanda. That is our winner, South Africa 2024. Yolanda. Well done. A very emotional win there for Yolanda. Congratulations, Yolanda. There you have it. That is who is going to be the face of science. Certainly science communication for the year 2024. Yolanda, representing South Africa in November. We wish you all the best. How are you feeling? Oh. Are these feelings? Woo! Yo!
Most of all, I am grateful for this opportunity. On an honest note, I am happy, very nervous at the same time. My teeth are doing but yeah, I am very happy and I'm truly grateful for this opportunity. We are definitely going to represent South Africa.
Another round of applause to all of our finalists and all the participants.
Guys.
You can step down. Thank you very much.
Well, we have indeed come to the end of our evening. Thank you to each and every single one of you, those of you that are joining us at home and those of you present with us in the auditorium here tonight. A very, very, very big thank you to each and every one of you. If you're looking to partner with us, finally, the season of 2025 of FameLab South Africa is officially open. If you're looking to partner with us, I would share that link. There it is. You can just share, you can just scan that logo, scan that QR code, and that's going to take you through to our partnership form. We're looking forward to seeing new faces. We're looking forward to seeing old faces in the year of 2024.
You have been an amazing audience. A round of applause for yourselves. It's truly an honor for me to come back to the stage. It's truly amazing to come back and engage with all FameLabers. This, like I said, feels like home. Thank you very much for taking the time out to join us tonight. And so from myself, Tiamo Lukwale,
and myself, Havila Mazubane,
we say over
and out.